That was sensational.
Wasn't it?
It was fun, wasn't it?
It was wonderful.
When you wrote that song, did you have him in mind?
No, I should have. No, I didn't. I wrote it in Nashville about 5 years ago, actually. And Charles Fisher, who put this album together, produced it with me, he was listening to a whole bunch of songs of mine, and he said, this would be great for Billy. So we sent it to him, and thank goodness he liked it.
Yeah, fantastic. You two go way back. In fact, you had the honour of inducting Olivia into the Hall of Fame at the
Yeah,
Arias.
didn't he do a great job?
Did a wonderful job.
I actually remembered the speech. I learnt the thing backwards, forwards, sideways, and then a second before I walked on, it all went. So I carried my piece of paper out, and as soon as I read the first line, it all came back. She's such a wonderful girl. I mean, she has not changed a day in her personality since I met her in the 60s. I mean, what you see with Olivia is what you get.
Still stupid after all these years.
But she makes me laugh, you know. I mean, the photographs in the studio that were taken of us when we did the single, all you can see is the back of our tonsils. I mean, because we laugh. We've had so many great laughs at parties at Olivia's and at John and Pat's house in L.A. because we all got there around the same time in the late 70s, you know.
Yeah. Great bonds.
Thank you for that.
The other night, getting a standing ovation from the music industry, that must have been quite a buzz.
It was amazing, actually, because I remember sitting there going, they're not, they won't do that, so it'll be fine. And so I was really quite amazed that they stood up. I really was. And it was a big honour, really a big honour. And especially, I said it in my speech, and I really meant it, that it means more getting it in Australia than it would have anywhere else, because this is where, you know, it's like pleasing your family. And it was a great moment. Billy's in the Hall of Fame. Didn't you feel the same way?
Yeah, it was a bit different, the awards. I think they stopped serving alcohol a year after I got my, after I got my Hall of Fame award, because everybody was blind drunk by the end of it. But I think, you know, what I said, if I can remember it, you know, Olivia Newton-John is one of the most successful recording artists of all time, and she has been and remains proudly Australian and is held in the highest regards by from everybody like the royal family, and is without doubt our greatest and most respected ambassador, or one of them. I mean, it's funny that after all these years, because we've had so many sing-songs at Pat Farrah's house. I mean, do you remember the night we had the sing-song Australia versus America, and there were all of these guys from West Side Story? And they beat us because we ran out of songs. We ended up singing Waltz and Matilda 25 times.
We sang Australian songs, and then they were singing American musicals. So it was the Battle of Australia and America. It was really quite hysterical.
Across a big grand piano, about 35 or 40 people. And
who was representing America?
Oh, I don't remember. There was all kinds of people. There were all kinds of musicians and stars. But we've sang a lot together. I wrote some stuff with John Farrah for Olivia way back.
At the start of your aria speech the other night, you thanked someone. We're going to replay a little bit of that speech.
First of all, to my teacher at University High in Melbourne, Mr. Hogan, who told me that if I was thinking about singing, I'd never pass my matriculation, so to follow my dream, thank you, sir, because your words decided my future.
Mr. Hogan sounds like a bit of a new age guy. Do you think he was ahead of his time, telling you to follow your dream?
I think he was just being honest. It was amazing how a little thing like that can really change the way you live your life or make a decision, because I remember the newspapers had pictured me in school uniform, and they had a picture of me on Sunday Side Up, and it was kind of school or stardom, and my mum was all involved in this, you know, whether I should go back to school or not. And I think that teacher telling me that if I was focused on something else, I wasn't going to make it through. It was like, great excuse, I can leave, you know. So I left, and I felt really guilty for a number of years. I used to have terrible dreams about, you know, going into exams and not knowing anything, and it took me a few years to get over it. But I learned in another school, a school of life, so it was okay. The
reason I thought we'd mention that now is because your headmaster gave you a different sort of advice, Billy Thorpe.
Well, because I started on television when I was 11 years old. I was doing TV 3 and 4 nights a week, and making more money than my headmaster when I was about 12. And I was never... I used to get to school, I was doing gigs at 12 and 13, and so I was always late, and he hated me. So I told him I was going to go to Sydney to, you know, to try and make it. And he said to me, Thorpe, you'll never amount to anything, you know, so...
Thanks a lot.
After well, you know, wonderful. So I thought, right, I'm an Aries, you know, Aries just don't forget. And when I had the first couple of hits, one of the James Bond Aston Martins was brought out here for promotion, so I bought it. I got in it, drove it out of the showroom in William Street in Sydney, went straight to Salisbury High School, waited for the assembly where there was like 1,800 kids and did wheelies around and went. Like that. It felt so good.
Thank you so much for being